out, and spread out.
Nice living room you
Yes.
got.
I love this sweater, by the way.
Thank you.
It's very nice. Where did you get that? Not to plug. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I like the color blocking.
I think it's Russell Westbrook's brand, actually.
I like it. I'm gonna have to get you one of those. Well, welcome to Columbus. Is it your first time here?
No, it's not. It's not my first time here. Sometimes I'll have to pass through here. I spent a lot of time in Ohio, actually, during that horrible mask period in time. A little place called Yellow Springs. Sometimes you gotta fly through Columbus, sometimes you gotta fly through Dayton, sometimes you get to fly right into Yellow Springs, but yeah.
Did you fly through it or were you staying out there?
I'm staying out there. They were doing some comedy in a cornfield out there. It was pretty fucking cool.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, so the cornfield was kind of the barrier of the masked time.
Exactly.
You can't get COVID in a cornfield.
Exactly. Well, we had to be tested. We were going into a bubble every day.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a pretty cool ordeal, though. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life, man. So I got good memories of Ohio.
That's awesome. Anybody familiar with the area?
Oh, yes, they are.
Nice. Nice. Well, we already have some eager audience members here that want to ask you questions, but I'm just going to ask you a few. This is a very hard question for people that started acting so young. But when was it in your time? Can you tell me about your acting origin story? And when was the moment that you realized, like, this is something that I want to stick with and want to do? Did you ever have that? Did it not apply to you?
No, I mean, so I actually just put out a book last year with Simon Schuster called Growing Up Urkel. Yeah. And I actually read it myself, so I actually really pushed the audio version of it. I'm like, just ride in your car, I'll read it to you.
Did you do the audio?
Yeah, I did the audio,
awesome.
and I really took it personal, and the recording sessions and whatnot. So I don't recommend to anybody anything that I wouldn't enjoy myself. That's kind of like a rule that I have. So I talk about a lot of this stuff in the book in depth in case any of you are intrigued about the origins of what it is to have jumped in this business in the 1990s, because life was so different.
The internet has changed so much.
Oh, it's changed everything, and we could talk about that. But I got into business when I was 3 years old, and my mom only put me in the business just to make money to go to college. That was it. Around 12 years old, all 5'4" of me thought I was going to go to the NBA, and I wanted to stop acting, and my mom just instinctively knew that's a mistake. And she came with a little rule. She said, anytime you book a job, you can get one of anything. And it was really my dad's rule. And that reinvigorated me like through the roof. And all I wanted was to sing Genesis. 1989, when they came out in August, and I had in our family, I couldn't get things like that unless it was my birthday or Christmas. So this job came along that I normally wouldn't have cared about going on audition for, but I just instinctively felt I could get this job. Sure enough, I had braces on my teeth at the time. I was like, I can get this job. So it was no more than a competitive exercise to get that dang Sega Genesis. And I got a lot more than Sega Genesis.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? And what is crazy is later you ended up voicing Sonic.
Yes.
So a big Sega character, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was my side hustle, as they call it these days. I just got in my mom's car and I got this gig to do Sonic. That turned into something that I never would have even imagined. It was, I wish I could say it was a labor of love. It was really kind of tough at the time, just going back and forth between high school, doing the show, and that. But man, I'm so grateful that I stuck with it, because I just had no idea how well it was going to age.
Were you able to have a social life at that time?
Junior and senior year in high school was tough. It was all just work. And you kind of start to feel like a leaf in the wind. You don't know what group you belong to when you grow up that way. And my curfew matched my shoe size and my grade. So
your mom and dad kept you so grounded, I would say.
Yeah, my daughter's got a 12:30 curfew now as a junior, and I'm like, you have no idea how much better you have it.
Well, I will go ahead. We can turn it to the audience, and then we can float back and forth. I hate to leave people standing for so long. Go ahead and introduce yourself and ask your question.
It's okay.
I'm Ian, and my question is, what was it like being on site?
Oh man, great question. Psych was fantastic. Good friends with Jaleel and James Roday. They had been doing the show for about 4 seasons, and I had no idea that Jaleel had been pitching me in the background. And just the concept was fantastic. They shoot it in Vancouver. I kind of, again, there's things that I just kind of live by on the set. If I'm having fun behind the scenes, whatever we film is usually going to translate even better to you guys. And if you thought you saw laughs on the screen, there were so many more behind the scenes.
Great question. Thank you. It's good to have like a set that feels so welcoming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
It was like every crew member was like, "So you're Jaleel. You're the one Jaleel's been talking about all this time." And I'm like, "Oh, man,
oh, he's been talking me up.
My boy's been talking me up like this."
Exactly. Hi there.
Hi, good morning. I was going to ask you if you had any cheese, but I'll spare that.
I'm a cheese connoisseur, actually. No, I'm serious. I can get stuck in a cheese shop spending $400-$500, man.
It's crazy how expensive a wheel of cheese
Oh, yeah.
you would never get.
Oh, absolutely.
It's worth every penny.
So, towards the end of Family Matters, because they're all involved in these crazy adventures, like with the American Gladiators and nuclear bombs out in space. Was there any of those adventures where, like, your idea, like, oh, I got to do this, or was everything pushed on you by the writers and producers?
Again, I look at it with great fondness. Life was different back then. We had Taco Bell commercials with MC Hammer floating down in his pants. We had, it was just, entertainment was so much more surreal in the 90s. I am so very aware how much we jumped the shark on our show. But the shows that I would generally have more involvement in, I actually wrote a story for 2 episodes in particular. One was the Grandma episode where we had Larry Johnson on. That's my episode. The other one we had New Edition on the show. I called up the guys myself. I got my hands, dirty writing that story. I didn't jump the shark too much. Obviously, it's not very believable that Mother Winslow would have a 6'5" donkey grandma friend by today's standards. But back then, man, that was as TGIF as you got. So, I tried to create based on the parameters that existed at the time. When you want to try to look back on something 30 years, you just can't do that to yourself where you're like, what was the zangiest? What was it? No, this all made sense for the audience that we had at the time. Now, blasting Steve out to space, yeah, that's where we were really just jumping that shark.
I believe, too, that show is the second most longest running show in the 80s, behind The Simpsons, is what I read.
I know we're the second longest running black show of all time.
Made in the 80s, specifically.
Okay, because it started in 89.
Yes, so you only have so many storylines that you can get through. You have to get a little fun and campy, I would say.
Yeah, no, one of the producers admitted to me that they used a storyline from Happy Days. They just changed the character name.
Yeah, exactly. Well, great question. Thank you so much.
Hi, so my brother asked, which one of the classic Sonic shows was your favorite?
Oh, God. It's probably Underground. That's not gonna be. Yeah, it's nice and easy. Sonic has become something so big now. You guys have to realize as an IP, an intellectual property, it moves from owner to owner to owner as it gets licensed. So, as I have so much respect for what they've done with it. I mean, with Jim Carrey being aboard now, that's amazing. I wish I had gotten a call, to be quite honest. I did not. But I don't take it personally because I just know that is the edict of every producer who gets a hold of something is how can I put my stamp on it. So just to be attached to the legacy, in a kind of a Batmanish way. I guess I'm like the Adam West of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I walked so you can run sort of situation. Yeah, exactly. Hi there.
Well, Adam West is my favorite Batman, so.
That's what's up.
So, how much input, when you're doing the voice of Sonic, obviously it was kind of new around, how much input, you talk about putting your stamp on things, how much input did you have on the voice versus them saying, oh yeah, do this voice?
You get great direction when you're doing voiceovers. I forget Jenny McSwain directed me for most of those. She's a brilliant voiceover director. I think that's always one of the better abilities I had at a younger age is I could hear very clearly a smart note given to me by a director or one producer and apply it in real time. You know, sometimes you give an actor a note and they go back to the stage and do exactly the same. It's like, okay, all right, it just ain't going anywhere. And I wasn't that way. So, you know, it was definitely a collaborative process. My voice was already a little bit high pitched, and we just added a bit of speed to it, you know, and it just kind of comes right out. It's very nuanced, the change.
Okay, great, thank you.
Nah, thanks for asking.
I feel like voice acting has changed so much since that was recorded too. Would you say it was more labor intensive then than now? Can you compare them? Are they very vastly different?
Wow. Sorry. No, it's a layered question because you have more technology now than ever. So
Do it from your home.
yeah,
And
you know.
also, it's not as collaborative, I feel too.
It probably isn't. You know, I know everything is a self-tape, send in now. Can you do this from your home? Can you record it to your phone, send it to us, et cetera, et cetera. Back then, you really were in a booth and you had, you know, an engineer and a director and, you know, maybe somebody in a rep from a studio or network or something like that. You know, you had to apply their notes. You had to.
Hi there.
Hi, I'm Frank. What was your favorite part of playing Sonic?
My favorite part of playing Sonic, sometimes I would get to do 2 or 3 voices at once, which was tough. Yeah, it was like in one of the versions of it where I would do multiple voices, and I'm like staring at this woman, and she's like, yeah, just try another one on me, try another one on me. So sometimes just doing Sonic, I would pull rabbits out of my head I didn't even know I had. And that's a really cool thing, I think, when you're a young kid anyway, is to have adults that are pushing you, who believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. A lovely jacket. It's nice.
Thanks
That's
for
what's
this
up.
jacket. Hello.
How you doing? Tell me your name.
My name is Faye.
Faye, that's what's up.
My mom adores your show, The Flip Side.
Ah, thank you.
Watches it every weekday night. So I was curious between live action acting, voice acting, and being a game show host now. What has been your favorite so far?
I mean, it all feeds into each other. You know, I probably wouldn't be a host on the flip side if I hadn't had the fond memory of being a host for Total Blackout, which I did for Sci-Fi. We used to put people in pitch black darkness for time challenges. You can probably find it on YouTube someplace. That's like my second favorite gig of all time. I mean, I get to host these people, but then it scared the crap out of them.
And they're just happy to be there.
Well, until the lights go out. We had a guy cuss us out pretty bad for having to guess the weight of a crocodile, and he didn't know it was a crocodile. I mean, the snout was taped and everything. You don't know that in the darkness.
Yeah, exactly.
But man, I love Flipside. Flipside is it's such an awesome gig for the age where I am too. You know, I got a 16-year-old daughter, and I just think that as a father, it's kind of cool to put on a suit and bring your kid to work for a couple of days. But more importantly, people love winning money, right? So it's just I'm just a talking slot machine. You know, I'm going to pay out or I'm not, right? And you play the game well enough. So we just shot in Atlanta. Tell your mom, thank you so much for following the show. I truly do make the show for her. My Flipside fans, man, if you see me in the grocery store or whatever, pull up on me, man. Pull up on me.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Hi, my name's Emily, and as a young millennial, we grew up with Big Fat Liar, so I
it was kind of a challenging shoot, to be very honest. I wasn't their first choice, by far.
Really?
Oh yeah. I try to tell people in this business.
You did so good.
I try to tell people in this business, like, you don't get a good job until a bigger person passed on. That's generally just the way it works out in our business. But it was actually technically my first feature film. I had never done a feature film, and I had been pining to be in an actual theater movie for the longest. So when Jaleel met with me at the time, I was like, dude, I get it. Like, I kind of cut him off in the beginning, and he thought he was going to have to sell me on it. I was just like, so no, this is Home Alone on the back line. And so, we got there and we played around. It was Paul Giamatti's first lead role. Very, very talented guy to act opposite. At that time, the kids were such kids. Frankie and Amanda were just literally zipping around on scooters on the set. I'm like, you're going to be me one day. And now I can say it again. And then they're kind of just following right behind. But just, I drank for free in Buenos Aires, Argentina, all night because of that movie. The entire kitchen came out of the back. And it was just like, that's just the power of movies, man. So I just love that you guys remember it. It was a fun couple of days shooting it. And I wish they made more movies like that today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Karen. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So I am a 90s girl.
That's what's up.
Yes, the best. The kids.
What do you miss most about the 90s?
Everything. Everything.
Give me one thing. Just one thing. You can just have it tomorrow.
Honestly, the shows are not the same anymore. The shows, the wardrobe, the music. It's just, those little things that, my husband and I just go one by one, talking about like just those one-liners and everything with the 90s was amazing. So I was born in 1976.
Okay.
So my kids love seeing you. I had to wait till after school to watch you. They have like free reruns. It's like 24 hours. Like they could just watch Family Matters. My 21-year-old DeMarco is here. He absolutely loves you. So he actually noticed that you actually in Family Matters came on more in the second season.
Yeah.
So was Urkel was he a tryout or
Oh my gosh, I love that you don't know.
Yes.
No, I was never a part of the original conceit of the show. I was there to do one guest spot in episode 12. So at the end of the first season, because I was working with veteran producers who knew what they were going to do with me, we spent an entire day shooting teasers. And teasers were the one scene that appears right before the opening titles. And so they replaced probably about 4 or 5, 6 maybe, teasers from the shows that I wasn't in previously. So there are probably about 5 to 6 episodes of Family Matters that I'm just completely not in. And then they started sneaking me in with these teasers. And through syndication, especially at the beginning, they kind of hook you, and then you think the character's coming back, and it's not coming back for that episode, but they knew they needed to do that for syndication purposes. So that's really how I ended up in the show. So by the time the second season came along, they were actually able to write for the character. In the first season, I got one storyline, because that's all they had time to write on the fly as I joined the cast. And I'll never forget that episode. It was called Laura's Big Date. And I basically tore up a French restaurant. I was a very memorable time, because it was just like, now I was really starting to play. I didn't see any power about it at all. I have to shout out Rich Carell. He was the director at the time. I'm still good friends with him to this day. And Rich just used me as a little toy. It's like, all right, you're going to do this, you're going to back in front of that, and that's going to fall over. And he just loved creating the human dominoes. I would do all the stuff that he told me to do, and I wouldn't get hurt.
That's great. When we think of Family Matters, we think Urkel. So you did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So how does one decide now at that time to make a single episode character reoccurring? Because now it's the social media, right? Was it from test? Do you know? Was it from testing, or was it just a producer being like, oh, this character is it, people writing it in? Do you happen to know what made them bring you on professionally?
Necessity is the mother of invention. You know, the show was not doing very well in ratings. I'm 12 years old, so I don't know what's. I'm only going by what I think is funny. But when they put me on the show, I remember the first episode we did. There was a famous. I talked about this so much. There's a famous fraternity that chanted, "We want the nerd and we want Urkel" in between the scenes that I wasn't in. So it was pretty palpable that first night that the audience was, enjoying the character to a whole other degree. So when I went home that weekend thinking that was a one and done, I literally walked to the parking structure with the audience. Like at the end of the show, people were patting me on the back. You did such a great job, almost like it was a school play, to be quite honest. Not knowing over the weekend that there was a negotiation going on to bring me back. Wasn't much of a negotiation, but it's like, we will pay him this much. And you will bring him back on Monday. And then I went to school on Monday, and I got that note from the office that said, get homework for the week.
You're going to get a lot of Sega Genesis.
Homework for the week. So that's how it happened. And back then, which was interesting, social media just managed to change the way we communicate. Back then, it was the water cooler conversation. It was, when I say that, it's people at work the next day. Did you see this last night on that show? It's literally somebody picking up their phone, calling somebody. It was like, are you watching this? Word of mouth was everything back then. So I remember we watched the ratings go up between episodes 12 and 21. They were probably in the top, probably about 90 shows on TV, 100 shows on TV, and we were probably in the 50s and 60s. Beginning, and by the end of the season, over 13 episodes airing, we started to knock on the door of the top 20. So to be able to do that on a Friday, when people are supposed to be out technically, that's what was pretty phenomenal.
Hi there.
Hi there, my name is Daniel Walters. I'm very much not a 90s kid. I was born in 2005. But growing up, we had a Wii with Netflix on it before we got our Roku, and growing up I would watch Sonic, the Adventure of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic, the Sad AM show, Sonic Underground, the Mario shows, and I was curious, I don't know how common of a knowledge it is, but I wanted to know personally, when Sega when they were developing Sonic Generations, they were wanting to reach out to you to voice classic Sonic. What did you feel about that, and not being able to do that?
Well, I'm not privy to a lot of these internal corporate talks. What I do know typically is once they license it to somebody, that the producers and that studio is going to have a giant say over who does what. So, in order to get Sonic on the air, I didn't realize this at the time, but the corporate thinking was get the kid from Friday night to do the voice for Sonic because we're going to put it on Saturday morning. I don't know how much audience flow is really created between an 8 o'clock show and an 8 a.m. show, but the corporate guys figured that mattered, and that's really probably how I landed the gig more than anything, is the fact that the first time it was on ABC and Saturday and Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Hutch. Since you played such an iconic character with Steve Urkel, you got to be on Full House. If you could take Urkel on any show, who would you want to interact with, or what?
It's too late, but it would have been nice to have seen a Big Bang crossover.
Yeah, and that's honestly kind of what I was thinking of that show.
Yeah, it's obviously time has passed. We're going to have a lot of deep fake capability in the future. But
Probably some laws around that.
But well, yes, I agree with you. Hopefully there will be some laws around it, but there are going to be some great technological advances that can be used as tools. in the same way, James Cameron has used, technology to make, films like Avatar. We can't forget that too. We can't just run in fear. So anytime I get a chance to see a singular performance by somebody at the center of something that will benefit from technology, I'm all for that. But yeah, I think it would have been pretty cool to see Steve Urkel interact with Sheldon Cooper. I know I would have fun with that. I think that'd be a good podcast anyway.
I think Sheldon would have been annoyed with Urkel, but also completely respected him too because of his mind and everything. So, awesome. Thank you.
We got the real Sonic.
I know.
My name's Renee. I'm here to ask about the Sonic the Hedgehog fan film that you filmed in 2015. What was it like coming back to that world after so long?
You know what? That was, I forget the director's name. Please forgive me. It's not like I can study for any of your questions. But I just remember he was such a great guy to work with. He was so impassioned. And it just goes to show you, too, he put all of himself in that film. That was his project. That was him trying to sell himself to the studio. And ultimately, it's like they appreciate the fandom, but they're going to make their decisions internally. But I enjoy doing it. I'd like to think that somehow that provided a sample of what audiences wanted more of, and you got it. So we did it in one day, and he had a very clear vision, and I hope that guy continues to get a chance to make more film.
Great costume, thank you. Great costume, too.
And, the costume is kicking, girl. It's kicking.
Hi there.
Hello, my name's Stan.
What's up, Stan?
We came in a little late because they sent us to the wrong ballroom. But I don't know if you mentioned last week, I think it was your birthday, and you turned 49. So,
yes!
Approaching next year, being halfway to 100 mark, is there anything, how you're focusing on that, or is it just a number?
Wait, say it's just a number.
You turned 49, so yeah, next year you'll be 50.
I feel like I'm in great shape. Been making some life choices I'm proud of, so yeah, it really is just a number.
Just a number. All right. Well, thanks for being here.
No, I appreciate the birthday wish, though.
Hi there.
It's Ian again, right?
Yes. If you could voice any other animated character, who would it be?
I'd say Marvin Martian. I'm pretty obscure in my taste, so you would be shocked with what I like. Yeah, I'd say Marvin Martian.
The helmet, it's so cute,
right?
iconic.
It sucks, man. I feel like the Looney Tunes have died before our eyes. We don't get it. It's unfortunately by broadcast standard practices. For many, many years, for decades, the Looney Tunes were considered too violent for TV. So, if it was made back then, it was considered classic, but they wouldn't make anything new that was that violent. Animals falling on people's heads and whatever. It just sucks, man, because it's like that's what animation is all about, that level of zaniness stuff, and that goofiness. So I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, to be quite honest.
I read yesterday, because Looney Tunes is Warner Brothers, right? I think Netflix just acquired them yesterday.
Yeah.
So maybe Netflix will make a new Looney Tunes. Get on your social medias, Marvin Martian, right here. When they reboot the series, you got him on stage. Hi there.
Hello, I'm Sway. I'm just a couple years younger than you, so I was the perfect age, the Family Matters, to Zeitgeist, to whatever. You came off the serial, I'm sure, at one point. And so my question is sort of based on my experience with the series growing up, being your age, roughly as a teenager, is that in a predominantly white community, that show was on. And there was also other shows like 227 and Martin Lawrence had a show, Martin and Ellen. And this is not negative, but those kinds of shows, I remember in my family and community, some of those shows were black shows. We watched them, but there was perception that was the primary audience. While the Family Matters, my recollection, it wasn't seen as a black show. Like Steve Urkel was a nerd, but he wasn't a black nerd. Like none of my friends ever referred to the races of the characters or ever really thought about it in that way. But there were other programs where that was the case. So I just was curious if you would, maybe you've heard that before, if you could comment on that phenomenon of the...
You know, I definitely have heard that before, but I think that's more attributed to the fact that we were on TGIF. You know, TGIF had very specific creative mandates and parameters, what we could do and what we couldn't do. So, you know, I still feel like we represent black imagery on television. I always like to make it clear to everybody that like every representation we needed back then, whether it was Martin, whether it was me, you know, Will Smith, Lenny Single, we needed it all because you were aware of some of those other shows, but you weren't watching them. You happened to catch on.
No, we watched those shows, but the feeling was that they were targeted to a black audience.
Oh no, definitely.
You didn't feel that way.
You're walking me into deep waters. You're walking me into deep waters that I don't like to go into. Yes, no. There's two kinds of shows that have minority casts in general. You know, one that is targeted towards that audience, and one where the cast just happens to be individuals of color or somebody from a particular race. And that is a conscious decision on the studio network side that I have nothing to do with. And more importantly, when you were an actor, you did not get to choose which you got a chance to be a part of. You know, that's the thing that I really like to make sure that audiences understand about what it is to act. You know, I told you earlier, I was like, the best opportunities usually come because somebody bigger than you passed or wasn't available. You know, you got to stop looking at acting a little bit from the standpoint of doing what you want to do. That's not acting. You know, you are a servant to the story. You are a servant to the studio. You are a servant to the producers that have, you know, you can say you're basically your number one power as an actor is to say no thank you. And if you're a working actor, try not to say that too much.
Based on our time, we only have 8 minutes left, so hopefully we can get through all of you, but I'm going to go ahead and cut the line, so the questions that we have are going to be our last questions. So go right ahead.
All right, hi Jaleel. I just want to know, like, what was it like being to destroy the set of Family Matters every week? And I love you as both Urkel and Sonic, so like I'm a big fan.
Thank you so much. Listen, I do miss being a kid, an adolescent on a major movie studio. You know, we got into a lot of hijinks on those sets. You know, playing on the catwalks and zipping around in golf carts and scooters and whatnot. And playing basketball with George Clooney are some pretty fond memories that I have. So, you miss it, but life moves on. I'm very much a dad now. I don't play nearly as much basketball as I did before, but I think the thing I miss most of is I missed how present we were. Because of these phones now, you are someplace, but you're someplace else. And yeah, there were no phones on the set when we were shooting this stuff. It was probably me just dribbling my basketball to no end. Sneaking sugar when my mom wasn't looking, and just very, very present. And I also think being present like that is important to, you know, discovering comedy and making material better. Quite frankly, sometimes I wouldn't find my best bit to Wednesday or Thursday of rehearsals. You know, it doesn't all just come to you like a TikTok. You know, sometimes you gotta sleep on it. You wake up with a good idea on Wednesday or Thursday, and it's gonna fit really nice to entertainment.
Write it down in a little book.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And also, can I have a high five? Like, I saw people doing this at the
Absolutely, I give you a high five.
Cherry Trainer Q&A.
High five. There you go.
Thank you.
Because he was so nice, my no request rule, I will not stop him this time. But that was the only high five. I'll be the villain on this stage. Hi there, go right ahead.
I just want to say you are like a pioneer of our childhood. I was born in '89, man, so I understand. And then the question that this lady just asked, whether being a child back in the '90s was more like, I miss being the child where I can't even talk.
It's okay.
I'm gonna get to my question. What was it like playing my friend Martin?
What was it?
Where did my friend Martin?
Oh yeah, right. I had to do the voice of Martin Luther King. That was actually really cool, man. I remember I got a chance to. I think Ashley Judd participated in that. I got a chance to meet her as well. That's one of those things again. This guy Andy Hayward who owned Deke. He was the one who put out Sonic. He was always a fan of mine, and he would think about me for different projects. And once again, when somebody thinks more of you than you think of yourself, it's like, all right, get in the booth and be Martin Luther King. Can you make him younger? Can you make him older? And I just get in there and kind of just do my thing. So anytime you get a chance to be associated with, a complete legend of our times, oh my gosh, the father of the civil rights movement. Those are the things that are going to stick. So, yes, just hearing you bring that up, that's pretty cool.
Of course, brother. And like I want to say again, thank you. I'm over ashamed right now. But I appreciate you helping us with our childhood. Like you all.
I feel that, bro. Thank you, Leslie.
Hi, I'm Becca. I have a question. How hard was it for you when they decided to bring on the second character, Esteban Urkel? Was that hard to go between the two?
It was only tough in terms of workload. You would be in a scene completely by yourself at times. We shot a few scenes where it would just be me talking to myself, so you go change. And again, technology wasn't what it was back then, so I did it with a stand-in. But you had to know they just doubled the dialogue. And you're acting opposite yourself, so you're kind of trying to remember little nuanced things that you did in the other performance that you can react to. Much of acting is reacting, quite frankly. That's where I tend to judge an actor is, what are you doing in the gaps when you're not talking? Are you waiting to talk, or are you truly conveying what that character is feeling in that moment? So doing that opposite yourself is a very tricky challenge, especially when you're taking SATs and going to normal school and just distracted by what it is to be an adolescent growing up.
Great question. Our last guy. No pressure.
I like a t-shirt, dog. That's a good start.
My name is DeMarco Badine.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Steve Urkel.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome. My question is, in season 5, or the end of season 5, when you went out with Laura, how do you change your voice in the restaurant? And how do you do that?
How did I change my voice?
Yeah, I in the barn and then go back to Urkel.
Listen, I had been doing, Steve's voice for the longest. It was actually, if you look at the early episodes, my character development is actually very similar to the arc of Kramer from Seinfeld. Neither one of us were very pronounced in the beginning, if you notice. And then, as you kind of train the audience, or the audience trains us, we start learning what you want. You notice that the movements become more exaggerated, become a little bit more spastic. I think in the 3rd season, Joel Zwick, one of our directors, he pointed out for me, in one particular episode, he's like, "Oh, you were really overacting right there." It's like, if I'd have gotten a hold of you that, we got to pull you back. You have a rotation of directors, so you don't necessarily have continuity in that way. So I can kind of watch the character really just be an extension of me being slightly goofy to becoming this character by the end of the 2nd season, and then by the 3rd season, damn near becoming a human cartoon. And then Stefan settles that down a little bit, And then ultimately you reach the point where you're just hiding the fact that you've kind of outgrown the character. But yeah, over time, most characters end up becoming exaggerations of things that were initially very, very, very subtle in the beginning. My voice was never really very deep, to be quite honest, when I was a kid. It took a while for me. Puberty hit me very late. I grew 9 inches, age 15, 16, and 17. So I was, I always like to point out that myself and Darius McCrary, who played Eddie Winslow, we were only 6 months apart in age. So Darius's birthday is in May and mine is in November. And when you watch the show, you would never imagine that. So he was my big brother offset, getting to know girls and learn how to drive. And on set, I was his big brother. And I'm like, do it this way, do it that way. Trust me, that's going to be funny. Do it that way, do it that way. And that was our special bond behind the scenes. Not a lot of people saw it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, wow, deep set us. Look at that, a consummate professional. Yeah, well, I'm going to ask you one more thing before we go. You said that you mentioned your book, Growing Up Urkel, recently, and you're in podcasts as well. You're on podcasts, I believe, called Everybody Learns as well. Is there anything else that has come out recently that you would love the audience to keep an ear for, keep an eye out for?
I mean, literally, this audience is so fantastic. You all, one by one, came up and acknowledged pretty much everything I've either done or currently doing. Shout out to my Flipside people out there right here. Is that Mom's right there?
No, that's my sister.
Oh, that's your sister?
It's very bright lights.
It's bright lights. All I see is the do-rag. I see red. It's red. But Flipside is a gig that I'm enjoying so much. Hopefully I get a chance to maybe do a celebrity edition. I think that we're in talks to do that. But other than that, a career in this business is a journey. To you guys, it comes across as us making choices. And maybe it is that way in the YouTube world. But if you came from the 90s, there was a lot you were going to have to survive to be sitting here right now talking to you guys in one piece. So when I get a chance to come to a place like Columbus, I do like to let you guys know I'm as appreciative of you guys being here as I'm hoping that you are, that I'm here for you, because this is a very pitiful room if nobody's here. And I'm just sitting here by myself. So you make this happen, and all of your stories, they land on me so much. I can hear your yearning for the 90s. I'm actually working on adapting my book to a TV show. I really think, people keep asking, reboots and reboots. See, guys, the trend is very clear. You watch all of these reboots for 1 to 2 episodes, and then the ratings fall off a cliff. That is what you're telling us through data, and for whatever reason, studios just choose to ignore it for the quick pre-sale. I'm different. Now I'm at an age where I do get to choose. So my dream show really has always been to make a show that's set in the 90s, that's allowing you to relive your childhood in all the nuanced ways where you're picking apart the VCRs and the posters in the background. And I think that's what you probably would watch weekly to see how well we got it right, authentically. Am I right about that?
Yeah. We will keep an eye out for that, and hopefully it comes to fruition very soon. Thank you so much for joining us. One more round of applause.
Obligatory stage
stand up, come closer to the stage, not on the stage, but closer to the stage, and we're all going to take a quick photo together.
Yes, thank you so much.
Say, did I do that?
You wish, buddy.
Fuck face. Someone.
Come on in, everybody. Please squeeze in. Fill in the rows.
On 3, we're going to say GalaxyCon.
Hold on just a second. They're still filling in. Let's go,
yeah.
Witchy keeps
Squish
rushing us.
on in. Squish it. If you're not past this line, we won't be able to see you. And this line right here. You are so tiny. Get right here. Come on up here. Little tiny one there.
Little or witchy, I can't
Squish
see you.
in.
So make sure.
Yes, and you can fill in the eyes too. Get to know your neighbor.
Witchy, you're in a
Yeah. All right, everybody go. Okay. On three, GalaxyCon. 1, 2, 3.
GalaxyCon!
Okay. All right, one more time. 1, 2, 3. GalaxyCon. Perfect. One more round of applause.
I got a bum rush. I'm sorry, guys.
Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Come see him at his table.
Love your costume.
Yeah,
He will be
stop.
at his booth